goes a little something like.
Hello and welcome back to another video. I just realized recently that I haven't posted a book related video in a bit and it's bothering me. Also, I'm working on a video the week that this is posted, and that video should be posted by either Friday or Saturday. But this is being posted on Monday. I'm starting my filming on Tuesday. Anyways, I get texts all the time from book friends or friends that want to get into reading, or just friends that are like needing something to read like in between classes or something like that. Hey, what are like your book recommendations? Like, what are the best books that you can give me based on? They don't even tell me the genre, actually. They just say, hey, what book should I read? I'm like, okay, what genre? What do you like? So these are all of my book recommendations in one video. So then I can just send them this video and be like, hey, any of these. So this first one, I actually very rarely recommend to people because it's 1,000 pages. This is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. If you've ever watched the movie, it's basically about this group of women. I don't know actually when this takes place, but they have to go through life very poor. They fall in love with people and they have to go through sexism and just like how the world was. I don't even know. This book is a classic, so obviously a little thick. But I highly recommend this book to anyone who has the patience. Anyone who like reads regularly, I highly recommend this to anyone who has the patience to read a historical fiction. I actually don't even know if it's historical book, a classic. It's 1,000 pages. I read this book in like 4 days. It took a lot of time to read it, but also this is basically for any age, but I'll probably say like 10 and up for anyone. I don't actually know what genre this is. I want to say like contemporary, but I'm not really sure about this. I would say this is like 14 or 15 plus. This is Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. I read this when I was like maybe 11 or 12. But this book is not for the faint of heart. Basically, this girl's in a mental hospital. Also, trigger warning, self-harm, and suicide. Basically, it starts off with this girl in a mental hospital for self-harm, and she has like scars everywhere, and she ends up like shaving her head. And this book is basically just her experience of self-harm and getting released back into the world after the mental hospital and trying not to go back to it and all of that. So it's a very intense book. It's very sad. It's very like heavy. This is like heavy content. But I highly recommend this to anyone who likes reading sad books or anyone who likes to hear like real stuff. I don't know. This book didn't traumatize me. It's not traumatizing. It's just like so intense. Okay, next. These are two unpopular books that I literally never hear about. They're very different books, but they're by the same author, which is why I'm picking them. This is by Jennifer Donnelly, and that is Poisoned and Stepsister. I do not see enough people talking about these books. I went through a phase where I was obsessed with like twisted fairy tales I went through a phase where I was obsessed with like twisted fairy tales or like altered folktale type thing that like the author makes up. So Poisoned is Snow White, but her heart very literally does get ripped out. And that's her experience, and the love story in this made me cry. Probably one of the first books I ever cried over. Stepsister is Cinderella, but from the stepsister's perspective. And if you know the original fairy tale, it involves a lot of those aspects, and I was in love with it. This was 5 stars. This was 5 stars. Recommended it to a few friends, and the ones that did read it were like very surprised at how much they liked it. These are fantasy and 10 plus. It's a little gory. Okay, next, I do not rave about this book enough on my channel, and I also feel like it's very underrated. A lot of people don't like this book, and I wanted to see for myself. So I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Okay, We Were Liars is one of my top favorites. Like, this book will always, always, always be remembered in the back of my head. Basically, this girl loses her memory over an accident that she doesn't even remember, and her family's, like, dead rich. And they own this private island they go to every summer, so she has to go back to this private island, and she only has 4 weeks to figure out what actually happened to her and get her memory back. Plot twist was insane. I don't think people appreciate this book enough because I was so in love with it. This was like a 5-star book, and it was like so unexpected. But I would say this is for 12 and up teens. I actually recommended this to my mom, and she loved it. And there's also a second book called Family of Liars that I also recommend, but I like this one better. It's like contemporary psychological fiction. The next 2 are talked about a lot, but I have to recommend them, and that is the Inheritance Games series. It also has the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit, and she just came out with The Brothers Hawthorne, which is just from Grayson and Jamison's perspective. Basically, this girl gets an inheritance from a guy, like a very old man that died, that she's never met, of like billions and billions of dollars. And this whole family is like mad at her for it because she's never met this man, and there's like 5 different grandsons and this whole rich family that just didn't get it. And she's like 17 in this book. I don't even know how old she is. She's very young. Like, she's in high school. And she's also like a genius. And it's like it involves a ton of puzzles and mysteries and like hidden family secrets. Strong female lead character. Love triangle. Was in love with it. That's all I have to say. Also, 12 plus. Next is a dystopian, and that is the Maze Runner series. I shouldn't have to say that much about this because this has been around for so long. But it's super, super good for new readers that want to get into this stuff. There's a lot of different characters. There's a lot of books in the series, but you can mostly just read it as a trilogy, which is the Maze Runner, the Scorch Trials, and then the Death Cure, which the Death Cure broke me. But basically, this group of boys is locked up by the government in the Glade, which is like basically just a plot of land that they've like invented for themselves, and everyone has jobs, and there's this huge maze with monsters and stuff. They have to get out and into the real world and get back to the government. Yeah, that's all I have to say. This one I do not hear talked about like at all. Like, I can't find any videos of people talking about it, and that is Alive by Scott Sigler. This book starts off with a girl waking up in a coffin thinking that she's 12 years old and it's her birthday, but then she realizes she's in a coffin. She has to get out of the coffin, and she finds other people also in coffins that also think they're 12, but physically they're very obviously not 12. And it's so sketchy. And the plot of this book is so strange and unusual. It's also a trilogy. I didn't read the other 2. You don't need to read the other 2 to understand this, but like, it ends in a place where you're just like, what did I just read? But I rated it 5 stars, and I cried. This book is so weird, but so amazing at the same time. That's all I have to say. Next, this is pretty self-explanatory. The Summer I Turned Pretty. Super quick read. Also, 12 plus. This book is super easy to read. The second book, trigger warning for grief, but like, and then the third book is fine. This is a 3-book series. You could read this in literally one vacation if you read a lot. And if you don't read a lot, that's okay. You can just read the first book and the end's fine. But basically, it's this girl named Belly or Isabella, and they go to their family friend's beach house every summer, and there's these 2 boys who are like family friends, and it's a love triangle between her and them. Also, I'm a Conrad girly. Read the Inheritance Games. I'm a Grayson girly. I'm a Conrad girly. I have a thing for morally gray characters. Don't ask. But I do highly recommend this book. It's just like a little contemporary romance. Honestly, 10 up. 12 up. 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Basically, there's this group of 6 people who go on, like, it's almost in, like, this gang type thing in this fantasy world where there's, a drug that can very literally drive you to, like, kill yourself. It's, like, addictive. This group of 6 people want to get and go on this super huge heist to get a ton of money. I cried. I laughed. This book was insane. I was super into it. I read it in, like, a few days. I don't even know. I read it at summer camp. But I love this book. I would say, most would say this is probably 14 up. But me personally, I would say, like, 10 up, 12 up. I don't think there's any harsh language in it. There's no scenes or anything. It's a really good book, personally. Also, there's 2 enemies to lovers plots and 1 LGBTQ plot. And I loved all of them. Next, I went into depth in a vlog that I did, but Ninth House and Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I haven't, like, I think I'm going to buy every book by Leigh Bardugo at this point because I love her books so much. I'm not going to go super into depth on it because I did say a ton in those vlogs, but basically this is about the cults at Yale, and I'm going into some super weird stuff. Fantasy, obviously, I would say this is like, her books are really difficult to understand, but this one in particular, I would say 14 up. 14 or 15 and up. I think you should read this. This book I read January of 2023, and I am still thinking about it now, and that is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I still haven't gotten the chance to buy this series, and I'm really hoping I get it for my birthday or something this year, so I don't have to buy it myself, because it's a large series. I read this in one sitting. Like, I didn't even get up to eat or drink. Like, I read this in one sitting. But basically, this girl, when she touches people, it kind of, like, sucks the life out of them. I don't know. And she, like, hates herself for it, and she ends up getting locked up for I don't know how many days. And at the beginning, she's just, like, this super weak, pathetic, like, scared child, basically. There's another love triangle going on, and I love the characters. It's Adam and Aaron Warner, but this book is amazing. This book is amazing. Aaron Warner, Juliet. There's a lot of character growth development. Also, Kenji's my fave. Yeah. Okay, dystopian world. When she touched people, she gets killed. A lot of action, and I was, like, shaking when I was reading this because it was so intense. 12 plus. Another one I never hear about is Places We've Never Been by Cassie West. I don't hear anyone talk about this, but it's a really cute contemporary romance. Basically, it's these childhood friends who, like, stopped talking, and then the second they did start talking again, they, like, started hating each other. So it's friends to enemies to lovers, but it's forced proximity, not arranged marriage. Just, like, they're forced to be near each other because it's a road trip between their 2 families, and they're stuck in, like, the same place. It's super cute, though. Super quick. Read it in a day over the summer. Very, very cutesy vibes, and the characters were amazing, and, yeah, that's all I have to say. Okay, next, I know I talked Better Than the Movies down a little bit. Like, I know I said, oh my god, it's too cheesy, like, it's too much. But, like, it's an enemies to lovers. How can I hate on that? And if you like romance, I'm not going to blame you. Lynn Painter's books are so easy to read. So, and she's, like, a super nice person. So I'm not going to, like, throw bad stuff at her books. Because her books are good. They're just, like, super cheesy. But if you like romance and you love enemies to lovers and cutesy little high school scenes, this is your book, okay? It's a great book. I love this book. It's amazing. I think I rated it 4 stars at the end. Okay, next is the selection. I love the selection by Kiera Cass. This is technically a 5-book series, but you can just read the first 3 books as a trilogy. It's basically The Bachelor, but with princesses. So, like, the prince has to choose which princess he wants, but our main character America is a 5, and she wasn't even supposed to stay in the competition, and we all know how this goes. But I was in love with it, and I read the 3 books in 3 days as a challenge, but like I flew through those books. These books are amazing. Okay, next, another one I don't hear about like ever is Deepfake by Sarah Dare Littman. If you know what a deepfake is, it's where you can like take someone's face and like turn it into a video that they didn't actually say, or do stuff that they like. It can get very, very bad and very messed up. But basically, someone deepfaked this guy's girlfriend into saying that he cheated on the SATs in high school, which is obviously like a big thing if you cheat on your SATs. And he was like restricted from going to college, and a whole investigation was opened. But the girlfriend said that, like, oh, I literally never said that, and I know you didn't cheat, like, blah, blah, blah. So it ruined their relationship because he didn't believe her, and it was this whole thing, and I wasn't expecting the plot twist, but I feel like the plot twist could be guessable. But it was just a very good high school mystery, like very classic, easy paced. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. There is 2 other books in the series. I only read the 2nd book, and then I stopped because it was getting like really depressing. But the first book, personally, was really good. Basically, your main character is Pip, and she's doing her senior high school project, and she decides for a final project she wants to solve in like a closed case murder, and she breaks a lot of laws in this book to solve it, but she ends up solving it. Plot twist was insane. I was not expecting it. Like, there's like multiple plot twists. It's a super easy read, and the characters were great. Like, Pip and Ravi are my fave. It's just a good book. And now we're down to the final 2 books, both of which I never hear about. First is The Leaving by Tara Altebrando. This is a very thick book, I think. But basically, in kindergarten, in this like kindergarten level, 6 kids were like kidnapped, like taken, and no one knew where they went, and it was this huge thing. And then like 11 years later, 5 out of the 6 kids come back, all grown up. Problem is, they don't have their memory. They were just dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and they don't remember a single thing. And there's only 5 of them, but 6 were taken, so you don't know where they were, what happened to them, where the 6th one is, and everyone's blaming the 5 kids for being gone, and all of the families are messed up after the kids were gone. One gets blamed for murder. Like, it's so intense. And lastly, I haven't talked about this book, like, at all. Like, I never talk about this book, but I should. It's Hunted by Darcy Coates. And I got this book for free, like, at one of those, like, side stand things on, like, the side of the road. It's, like, the free book things. That's where I got this book from. And then I read it, like, on vacation. I was, like, so stunned. Basically, this girl, a photographer, goes in the middle of the woods, takes photos. She just goes missing. Like, your perspective is she's just, like, on the ground bleeding. She fell, like, off a cliff or something with her camera. And no one knows, like, what happened to her, what was chasing her. And her brother's best friend is the only one who, like, noticed, but no one likes him for some random reason. Not even best friend, just her brother's friend noticed and cared that she was missing, but, like, no one else did until a few days later. So then he went out into the woods on his own, and then he went missing. And then the rest of them started looking for the girl. And, like, at the end, like, everyone was just gone. Police were like, oh, we can't really do anything. Or, oh, we're trying, but they weren't really trying. And the police just didn't care in this book. But anyways, that is the 19 different books that I will always and forever recommend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.